One of the most common pieces of advice you'll hear from Online players is not to fly a spaceship that can't easily be replaced. This might seem obvious given that every ship in the game that shares a name is identical, but what you might not appreciate yet is that what makes it effective and often expensive is entirely down to what you equip it with. Knowledge of Eve's ship fitting tool is integral to understanding this because it doesn't just let you drag and drop equipment onto your ship. It's actually a powerful reference and simulation tool that helps you to appreciate just how unique each ship can be, regardless of whether you can afford to fly it or not. With dozens of evolving roles, hundreds of ships, many thousands of modules, and countless tactical scenarios to consider, it's tempting to want to pursue the career of a station-bound Alliance overlord.
Approach, lock, orbit, destroy.
However, you only need to be effective in one or two value-packed ships to make it as a pilot, and the cheaper and more effective you are, the more impressive your exploits will become. Let's look at fitting out a basic tackler, a ship to help pin down an enemy vessel so that heavy-hitting allies can take it apart. We'll get to the center circle shortly. First, let's look at the side panels. On the right are your attributes, a summary of your ship's capabilities that is updated as you equip it. It's especially useful as you can drill down into each category to get a detailed overview of your ship as it evolves. If you hit the simulation mode button, you can play with your currently selected ship without affecting the current setup, and you can even save your simulated fitting if you want to try it out for real later. There's even a convenient, though potentially expensive, Buy This Package Now option at the bottom right of the panel. Which brings us to the left-hand side, which, if you were paying attention in the previous video, is practically identical to the market browser, in that you can search for ships and modules and have fun slotting them together, regardless, courtesy of simulation mode, of whether you have the cash or skills to use them. Just use the filters to limit what's displayed by ship, skills, slots, which we'll get to in just a moment, or even browse any fittings endorsed by your corporation. You can even import and export ship fittings from popular Eve community sites, forums, and even chat messages. Before you start dragging equipment over from your hangar or buying expensive modules off the market, know that there are limits on what you can attach to your vessel based on classification and size, and the number and type of slots it has. Then there's something called stacking, which penalises pilots who choose to put as many of a certain module on their vessel as possible, despite the rapidly diminishing, but often worthwhile, returns for doing so. CPU and power grid are your next considerations. Like the peripherals plugged into a PC, some modules draw on power and some on its processor, often to wild and varying degrees. The art of ship fitting therefore comes down to maximising both, while investing skill points and space bucks in more effective and efficient modules for better ships, such as for so-called faction or Tech 2 variants. Back to the fitting ring, where you'll notice there are 4 types of module slots surrounding your ship. High slots are where you drag and drop your weapons, but also allow for various passive-aggressive modules such as combat logistics units. Mid or medium slots tend to be for shields, propulsion, electronic warfare and capacitor, while low slots are more structural and where armor mods and damage modifiers are fitted. You'll know where a module should go because when you select it, one of the slot banks will highlight. However, if you don't have the CPU or power grid to activate it, you will be duly notified. Finally, we have rig slots, which, unlike regular modules, cannot be removed once installed. However, for a replaceable tackler, such as we just created, rigs are unnecessary. Once we've fitted our modules, we need to load up on consumables, ammunition for turrets, missiles, probes and the like, which are dragged and dropped onto the module itself. If you need to reload or change different types of ammo while on patrol, dump it in your cargo hold. Drones, if your ship has one, go in the drone bay. It's useful to think of Eve's ship fitting screen as a puzzle game, and like all good puzzles, there are many solutions to discover. There are standard fittings that your corp buddies will suggest you start with, and you'll be told not to mix weapon types or tanks, but it pays to find things out for yourself. It all comes down to what you want to achieve, what resources you have to call upon, and who you expect to fly with or against, by which time you'll have a pretty good idea of what you can and can't afford to lose. Because know this, you will lose it sooner or later. It's all part of the fun of Eve Online.